Today it's time to talk about shock positions and how it affects the handling of your car on the RC Beginner Series. Rich here from the RCNetwork.com, and welcome to another episode of the RC Beginner Series. Now, of course, in front of you, I have my team associated Pro Rally. This car has been great over the last 11 episodes. Today is the 12th episode of the series, and it's time to talk about shock positioning. As far as shock positioning, what I'm talking about is the actual angle of the shock. Now, most cars have different positionings up here on the shock tower, as well as the suspension arm. You can move the shock around in different angle configurations to give different characteristics to the ride and handling of your RC vehicle. Starting with the front on my Pro Rally, there are 3 different positions up here for each front shock and 4 different positions here on the suspension arm. By angling the front shock towards the center of the vehicle or laying the shock down, it'll give a little bit softer feeling of suspension. It'll decrease the dampening but increase steering. Now, if you were to stand the shock up or change the angle, you will increase steering and give a little bit more stiffer feeling to the shocks. In the rear of my Pro Rally, once again, I have 3 positions here open on the shock tower and 4 positions on the suspension arm. Changing position in the rear is a little bit different than the front because it has to do more with the traction of the surface that you're running on. Standing the shock up in the rear position will end up decreasing traction. The more you lay it down will increase traction on the rear of the vehicle. Now, finding the perfect shock position for all 4 corners will take a little bit of time. It's about trial and error and having the exact conditions when you go out and test the new position that you set your shock in. Looking at the rear of my Pro Rally, I want to go ahead and change the shock angles here of the rear to decrease traction a little bit. I'll be running on asphalt. Traction is plentiful, so I'm going to go ahead and stand up the shock a little bit. Take a 2mm driver here, and I'm just going to remove the ball stud at the bottom of the shock and move it inward. Went ahead and moved the lower portion of the shock inward to stand the shock up a little bit more. Now, you do want to repeat on both sides. You want to run the same suspension setup on both sides, so the same positioning. And you'll see here that this one's definitely more stand up, where this one's more laid down. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat on that side, and this will decrease a little bit of traction in the rear, being that I'm going to be running on asphalt. It'll give a little bit more firmer setting to the springs, so you may have to adjust your ride height once again, and I do have a video for that. Well, guys, that is a quick look at shock positioning and how it can affect your RTR. Now, there's so many tunability items on these RCs these days. You can go blind and numb trying to figure them all out. Hopefully this video explained a little bit about how shock positioning can control your vehicle and give you a little bit more pleasurable feeling when you're out on your local bash spot or out racing. Well, guys, that is it for now. If you have any comments or questions about this video, feel free to post it on down below. And as always, thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for now, guys. Over and out.